the film is rated 15. It says that during post-production they came in and asked for advice. They were told originally that it would be an 18 rating, but they wanted a preferred 15. In order to do that, they had to reduce various moments of strong bloody violence, sadistic violence, strong sex, and some focus on drug use. And apparently it has been taken, so it is now 15, although clearly it's a borderline 15.
It's at the top
18.
End of 15.
I would think so, yeah. And it was interesting how Oliver Stone was slightly defensive. I mean, you and I, we both saw that torture sequence, and we both thought, blimey, Charlie, that's full on. But it was interesting that he was kind of slightly squeamish about it being referred to as such. Because here's the thing with the film: the beginning of the film, it's got a very, very bad opening. It opens with this voiceover narration that we heard a little bit at the beginning, in which this woman describes that she's got these two men. One of them is a sort of hippie type. One of them has been out to her, and she actually uses this phrase, which is, she says, I had orgasms and he had wargasms. And you think, I'm sorry, if the voiceover is going to do this, I'm going to have to leave. And at the beginning, you're set up with these characters that Oliver Stone clearly loves, but I don't care about at all. And then 25 minutes in comes this other cartel, which is essentially Salma Hayek as the fearsome dragon lady, Benicio del Toro as the man with the experimental facial hair, chewing the scenery as he goes, and John Travolta as the completely compromised DEA agent who is playing both sides against you and is totally untrustworthy. And that's when the movie catches fire. Then the movie starts doing, I suppose it's closest to something like Wrong Turn, an exploitation movie, a movie in which, Stone was working within genre and, playing with the genre and doing that stuff, which I enjoy very much. So my feeling about Savages is this: there's a 90-minute exploitation movie in it, which is Salma Hayek, Benicio del Toro, and John Travolta, and all of that stuff I'm kind of interested in, and I'm in there for it. The problem is the movie is 2 hours, 10 minutes long, or whatever it is, and the other part of it is this story about these two hippie guys and this one hippie guy who I really am not very fascinated by. And it was interesting that when Oliver Stone, I interviewed him for the Culture Show, one thing he did say was he started to say that the young cast, obviously, they weren't as well, rehearsed as the old, because they needed more sort of care and attention. And there was a feeling, the problem is he loves those characters. He clearly is in love with those characters and, loves them. I don't care about them. I care about the other stuff, which is the kind of, the exploitation, action, drug smuggling, Benicio del Toro, not just eating the scenery, but chewing it up, spitting it out, devouring. In full mad Benicio hair mode. And Salma Hayek, I thought, doing a terrific job of being this kind of absolutely implacable, fiendish dragon lady. And centrally, the theme about her being estranged from her daughter and therefore, making her character more interesting and more three-dimensional. So the strange thing was that the characters over on this side, the sort of the hateful, evil, blah, 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 were actually far more interesting than the characters for whom you were supposed to feel sympathy. Roger Ebert wrote a brilliant review, a typically brilliant review, in his American paper, in which he said, it's not so much a film about good and evil, it's a film about evil and some more evil. And he said everything was shades of black. I think it's a film in which all the stuff that's exciting is the exploitation fun stuff over there, although I think some of it is typically over the top, and I refer you to that. I think that torture sequence, I think you and I both felt, blimey. And the other stuff, the stuff about the sort of hippy-dippy people that you're supposed to care, I didn't. How did you feel?
Well, he's trying to make them the kind of the Ben and Jerry's of the drug world.
Yes.
These nice two young surfer dudes.
Did you care about them?
But ultimately they're drug dealers who've made an absolute packet, so I didn't really care about them either.
Okay, but were you interested in the other stuff, the Salma Hayek, Benicio del Toro? Yeah. So that was solid. So there's a solid 90-minute with this nice little political undertone about the war on drugs is all hypocrisy, blah, 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 blah.
Hey, look, we're heading towards the news. So, Savages...
Well, just a couple
15 at the top end of 15.
Yeah, we think.
Lots of drugs and violence.
Yes, there is all that stuff. As I said, my feeling about it, it had some very bad reviews, and some, as I said, from the American critics. A.O. Scott as well in America liked it very much. It's interesting how much it has divided people. I am just somewhere in the middle. I think that it does look like he's having more fun than he's had for some of his past movies. Certainly, when I interviewed him for World Trade Center, obviously he was, overpowered by the subject matter, and the film felt like he was deliberately reining in his style because he didn't want to come between the style and the story. In the case of this, it feels much more like he's his typical kind of, overblown self, in which he's throwing in all these different film stocks sometimes for no good reason at all. But I do think that there is a 90-minute exploitation movie in there. It's in a 2 hour, 20-minute frame, and if you took out the main character, the one that he loved, I would like the film more. Also, it is worth saying that without giving it away, it has a sort of a dual ending that just felt to me like, yeah, you don't need to. I think, funnily enough, it's one of those classic cases of Roger Corman coming in with a big stick and saying, 90 minutes, Oliver, 90 minutes. Get in, get out, cut your lovies, and just cut to the chase.